So a lot of people think that when we throw our front punch forward, that we want to throw that shoulder forward with it too. That is going to give it extra power. In this video, we'll cover why that actually doesn't make sense in the context of a full front punch in a front stance, and what to focus on to avoid this mistake and make sure that our punch is powerful and effective. In the previous video, we covered the fist, why it's shaped like that, putting it together with our stance, making sure that we're pulling as we're pushing forward. Those are happening together as I'm grabbing somebody, really pulling them into my stance, into my technique. And in this video, we're going to focus on the integration of our upper body and lower body in this particular technique of a front punch. All right, so it's not that the upper body determines what the rest of the body is doing. It's not just the arms and the shoulders. It's not the whole story. Because if we're thinking with our whole body working together, the upper body builds on the lower body, assuming we're walking and standing on our feet and not on our hands. And so to be effective and efficient, we want to make sure that the various elements of the body are working together. They're not working against each other. And if you think about the strength in your body, in your limbs, your legs are much more powerful than your arms. And so you don't want your legs to be working against your arms, and you don't want your arms to be trying to do something that your legs aren't supporting. Right, so if I want to have my energy going forward, I want my upper body and my punch to build on the foundation of my stance as I advance forward. Right, you might think that to punch really strong, I need to throw that shoulder forward, right? And then go the other way for the next one. But not really, because that's thinking of the upper body is sort of divorced from the rest of the body, the legs and the hips and the core and everything working together as it's supposed to. No, instead we want to think of where the power of the stance comes from. Right? So the stance, for a front stance, the power, its stability, and its strength comes from the back foot, the back leg, the back hip in particular. Right? We manipulate the hip by focusing on where our knee and where our toes are, right? Where our heel is. Right? If I want to turn my hip outward, well, it's easier to think of just turning my foot and knee out. And if I want to bring my hip in, it's easier to think of just turning my knee and toes in. If I want to push forward, I want to make sure my foot, my knee is in line, so my hip will be in line toward the front. And I'm pushing inward. So if I'm stepping out into a front stance, the power of the stance is actually going to be from this back foot, sort of pushing into my front foot this way. Right? Because if it's coming from this way, I'm pushing this way from the back foot. And then on top of that, with the power from that stance, I'm adding my arms. Right, so this isn't really a rotational motion. Right? A rotational motion might, like a high block might add that component to it, but there's still that dynamic of explosivity from here to there. And it's actually working against that if I were to rotate that shoulder forward. So I don't want that. I want here. And so we have to look at the mechanics of the stance and how you make the stance powerful. It's from the back leg. And the back leg's job is not to rotate this way. The back leg's job is to rotate this way, into it, to bring my hips inward toward the front leg. And so you might think that rotating the shoulders this way makes it more powerful, but that's only if you think of the upper body. With the whole body, most of the power of your body is from the legs, integrated with the core and then also helping your shoulders and your arms do what they're doing. But if we think from the ground up, the stance comes from the back leg, pulling, or rather pushing that hip in forward, and then the arms do what they're doing in the context of that, building on that, firing from that stance. And so my stance needs to come this way. So it's not so much I'm rotating against my punch, it's that my stance is pushing me forward already. And this just adds to that. And so one more time, as we're stepping forward, we want to bring our feet together and out. It's the back leg that's pushing our hips forward and into this front leg. That power already is going to then be the basis of our upper body throwing that punch, pulling this way, everything working together to make a really powerful and effective technique. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful and interesting. Let me know in the comments if you've ever seen that before or if this is new to you. Let me know if you have any questions or other techniques you'd like me to cover. Hope to see you soon in another video. Until then, fruitful training and have a great life.